for a life-altering, tragic moment like that. And so because you haven't been prepared for it before,
Yes.
you have to go into it just as it is, the journey of trying to even fathom how you could be whole again is not linear. That's why they say grief is not linear. It's not a straight path. Some days you'll be feeling like you can handle it. Other days you'll feel like you absolutely cannot wait to leave this world because it's just too much. Went to serve South Africa on that show because I was going to their homes. I was meeting their families. I was going into such a very important life-changing occasion, wedding, to go and affirm to people that this life change or this journey or chapter that they're about to embark on really is perfect. It is a perfect wedding.
See, people who are made for the media space. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Uncle Kash. As always, I am your host, Uncle Kash, also known as the Joburg Bachelor. The other nickname I used to have has been left behind because we are now mixing with corporate sponsors. So things about uncles who are favorites with side chicks, those days are behind me. Thank you as always for watching the show. This show is available on YouTube, Spotify, DSPs, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you to the good people at VW, Hatfield, Melrose Arc. I always like to get the Arc pronunciation correctly, just to let you know the levels that we are playing at with the show and the sponsor. Thank you so much to Gemma, Tumo, and everyone here who makes the show possible. Thank you to my team behind the scenes, to Tsepo and Vino_T. Sending love and light to Nico, who's there in New York having a good time, and to Mr. Mojaki. As obviously it's August, it's Women's Month, and we had to have someone who I personally think ticks so many boxes of what it means to be a woman, especially in this creative space. Our guest for today is none other than Kayise Ngqula. I want to say her middle name, but like every time I've tried, I've kind of debauched it, but I just love it because every time I say her middle name, I'm like, I have to say it on behalf of her whole tribe. Unolufefe.
You did really well. Thanks, Kash. Not many people get my surname right.
Really?
You need to have that.
Exactly. Ooh, did you hear that?
Kayise Ngqula.
Exactly. Ooh, that sound. Ooh,
I think it just says I've arrived even before you see me. You know what I mean?
It's got all the emphasis on the part. We could take the way you say your surname and just make it like a drum beat for a call. Just like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So how you been doing?
I'm lovely, Kash. I'm good, man.
No.
And I truly believe I'm probably in one of the best spaces or eras of my life.
Yeah.
That's what they say. I'm in my wholesome era.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm good, man.
No.
It feels good to be here.
No, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. What I really love about not just Women's Month is it's beyond just celebrating women, is getting the chance to share stories of women who are not just inspirational, who have many facets to their life, in a non-cliche way, like a holistic way.
Yeah.
And the first thing I was thinking of, when I was thinking of guests, we're going through the list, discussing with the team, and then I'm not even going to gaslight, Kayise is perfect. Not only because she's in the media space, but I absolutely love your story, which we're going to touch into.
Yeah.
I've in doing my research, which was very high level because we've known each other for a few years.
Yeah.
I was like, I have some quotations that really speak to who Kayise is.
Yes.
Her journey as a mother, media entrepreneur, CEO, boss lady of KNN Media.
That's right.
I'm saying it with my chest. We're going to get into that, But,
Thank you.
But I think the best place to start is for someone who's in the media space. Your on-camera presence, voice, your persona, you light up a room. The one word that really came to mind when I was thinking, how do I best describe Kayise is vivacious.
Woo.
Yes, we went into...
Is that a real word?
Yes, it is. My literature teacher would be very proud. Vivacious,
proud.
yeah, speaks to energy, confidence.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I need to start there and ask her, like, where does she get it from? And the reason I want to start there is there's a quotation by Laurel Thatcher Ulrich which says, well-behaved women seldom make history. And there's nothing well-behaved about your energy. Like you're like a connoisseur of just positivity, which is exactly what is needed in the media space. So where do you get it from?
Oh, wow. Vivaciousness.
Yes.
Love it. Thank you for that beautiful description. First of all, I must tell you that you probably know me way too well, and you've got an added advantage because that's one of my favorite quotes. Well-behaved women seldomly make history. And I don't think I was well-behaved even as a child. I was very bubbly, larger than life. Anybody who knows me will tell you that that is a character trait I've had for probably as long as I could talk. The moment I could open my mouth and articulate something or my feelings, the likelihood would be that, something great would come out of that. And very self-affirming, by the way. I was born in East London, in the Eastern Cape, about 30-something years ago.
Yeah, give or take. No, I was thinking about maybe 20-something.
Yeah.
Late 20.
I'm not a day older than 25.
Exactly. I was thinking roundabout there.
Yeah, and I think people think I'm actually quite young because I look young and I love it. You know what I mean?
It's the energy and the persona.
Yeah.
And being from the Eastern Cape, I think the first day I met you, it was not just obvious. You carried with you. Yeah. It's your persona. I'm like, she's definitely from the Eastern Cape, and
I know.
The pride. And exactly.
I know. Amazulu usually
Yes.
And I think I've carried that identity, particularly actually even when I entered mainstream media, presenting Our Perfect Wedding. Can I say that on this show?
Oh, go for it. Exactly. Yeah.
We're not offending any broadcasters.
Not offending any broadcast, and that's a pivotal place in your career.
Absolutely.
Because what people may not know, who obviously those are getting to know you don't just pitch up. There's this things called auditions to get on a show.
Yeah.
And as someone who's also been in the media space myself for a while as a voiceover artist, you get to auditions. There are many people. You can be good, but when you get to an audition, you have to up your game.
You have to be really good.
Exactly. So how was that process for you? Because 2017, you presented Our Perfect Wedding for 2 seasons. I remember seeing the clips, how excited you were. What did they see in you that obviously we already know?
Look, I think the journey of getting onto that show was a spiritual one.
Okay.
When I say that, I think it's because I had been trying, like you're saying, going to auditions, placing myself in the right spaces amongst people, for some years prior to seeing that ad on television when they were looking for their next presenter. But this time they did it differently. They wanted to find the presenter from South Africa. Raw from the ground, and mentor her and take her through the ranks of presenting probably the most watched and biggest wedding reality show in the country. And so when I went to that audition, and I remember that day very, very vividly, I had seen the ad, like I'm saying, but there was a spiritual voice and an affirmation from God to say, you have to do this because it's yours to take. And I would not waver. I literally my eye was on the ball, my eye was on the prize from the moment that I walked into that room and the judges confirmed what I had known. Then it was up to South Africa to confirm that, and they voted, and we're here now.
Great. You know what I absolutely love about that story is, like you said, it's affirmations, because the media space is one place where South Africa's got so much talent, be it actors, rappers, even behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
But you do find that in the media space, opportunities are limited. So it's always having to bring your A game. And your story is great because it was a 2-part affirmation. Spiritually, God told you this is your time.
Yeah.
And then the people voted, got on their phones and said, we also see what the show's producers and the judges are seeing. Exactly, which is a great story. And I think from there, that's now the launch pad. You start moving forward in your career.
Yes.
So from there, what was what was like the feeling in terms of now?
Yeah.
Almost that I've made it
Now
feeling.
I'm there.
Now I'm
Mama,
there.
I made it.
Mama, I made it, exactly. Was it not daunting? Because that was, like you rightfully said, that was a big show. And what I actually love about that show is the people behind that show, 100% South African. You know, a lot of the times we've taken shows from overseas
And made it our own
made our
somehow.
own somehow. Those never resonated,
Absolutely.
but Our Perfect Wedding,
Yeah.
Date My Family. It's not a coincidence that those
Yeah.
two shows are the same production company.
Yes.
Now at that stage for you, Kayise, how do you come into your own?
Oh man, I must be honest, as confident as I am and as, self-assertive, it was quite the awakening, because now I had gotten this place and space to do something. It was my oyster to just make it. But I must be honest that I had great, mentors in my director. And since we're talking about women in the industry, women in media, the CEO is one of my mentors, Mambasetsana Kumala.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
And on the ground, I was directed by a woman. When I walked into that office, the first thing was, I was being mentored by a woman who is behind the scenes, who's made a great name for herself. Shout out to you, Mam Kayise Ngqula. She created the presenter in me. In fact, she just, sort of like certified.
What was already
it was
there.
there.
Exactly.
She just went and made me better. And then, of course, the crew, the people who work behind the scenes here are the people who really make the rest of us shine.
True.
When we're not feeling confident, when we're having those moments of self-doubt, they come and they tell you, man, you look good, your shoes are nice, you smell good, now kill it, give us the best link that you can.
Exactly.
And I just grew from that. But like you say, I think the best part about presenting that show was coming from the fact that South Africa verified me, and then I went to serve South Africa on that show, because I was going to their homes, I was
Yes.
meeting their families, I was going into such a very important life-changing occasion,
Oh,
a
yeah.
wedding,
Yep.
to go and affirm to people that this life change or this journey or chapter that they're about to embark on really is perfect. It is a perfect wedding.
See people who are made for the media space, because like I said earlier to your presence, because you're right, it's a very personal thing, a wedding. And I remember you dancing on some episodes. It didn't matter the culture, it didn't matter the location. And because for people to let you in on a very personal part of their lives, an important journey, they're putting it on camera, it means basically they trusted not just the show but you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the more you did episodes, it was people probably lining up and say, we'd love her to be part of our show.
Yeah.
That journey of being a conduit, and like you're saying, people behind the scenes in media, you do that, but you're in front of camera.
Yeah.
And I think one thing I do love, you mentioned mentorship.
Yeah.
I always think it's critical having mentors in the media space. Same way you have in corporate, same even in sports. People always speak to you, I had my first mentor when I first came to the soccer club. When I first came to this company, I was a bit green. They saw the raw talent, but they molded it.
Yeah.
And to really bring it more home to our community, I love black women who are really intentional. Instead of getting the elbows out, there's a cliche about the media space being very cliquey and territorial, but your story is totally different. You have powerful women who opened the door for you, and it just flowed from there. And I've seen you in many provinces shows where it's women centric and it feels authentic. It's not okay, we're here, we're sizing each other up, but genuine mentorship. And speaking of women in the media space, another woman I know you look up to, the great Oprah Winfrey, who she said, I'm paraphrasing, but she said, if you think like a queen is not afraid to fail. A queen uses failure as stepping stones. I think the next stage in your career that I just want to delve into is you're on top of the world. Things are going well. Recently married, our perfect wedding, and then life being life, tragic moment, obviously with the loss of your husband. Those of you know Kayise, it was in the media, well documented. How do you handle that kind of failure? Because I want to zone in on how it's a test of character for even the strongest person. We started by saying you're vivacious, you're strong, but even the strongest person, to be a presenter, married, everything's going well, recently had a little one. You know, you're a mother, first-time mother,
yeah.
and then car crash. And also, the viewers who may not know, Kayise was also in that car crash.
Yeah.
She was in hospital, mom by her side.
Yeah.
What does that do to someone like you? What does it do to your career and confidence?
Oh, Cash, man, I think nothing can ever prepare you for a life-altering, tragic moment like that. And so, because you haven't been prepared for it before,
Yes.
you have to go into it just as it is, The journey of trying to even fathom how you could be whole again is not linear, That's why they say grief is not linear. It's not a straight path. Some days you'll be feeling like you can handle it. Other days you'll feel like you absolutely cannot wait to leave this world because it's just too much.
Pressure.
Pressure. So I went into, that journey of my life, I think, with bravery. As much as I was really weak, I did honor myself by understanding that this was the phase of my life. I was broken emotionally and physically, and I didn't shy away from expressing that to whoever was around me, whether it was just my family who was close by, friends, or maybe even the South African public, And out of that was born a show that I produced under my production company called After Dark with Kayise. And it was a year of having not spoken to anyone, about what I was going through, the pain and the rawness of what that phase of loss looked like for me and my family. And I would have never imagined, it was during COVID, by the way. People were experiencing huge catastrophic amounts of loss, from job losses to
losing
financial losses,
losing loved ones through
relationships,
COVID.
everything was just havoc. And I remember sitting with my team at the time, and we wanted a platform or a way in which to tell this story because South Africa was concerned, out of that support that they had from the show came the support now that they wanted to understand what had actually happened to me, and I had not found a way to voice that. But God willing, I sat on a couch one day. I had cameras like what we have them here, and they rolled as I began to tell my story. And today, Cash, as we sit here, we're sitting at 2.4 million views of that show. Not because it was a rocket science, no. Only because I decided to be vulnerable and share stories about people and myself, about overcoming some of life's, most difficult challenges, but most importantly, thriving beyond them.
Exactly. I love the fact that you mentioned vulnerability because one aspect of modern day society with social media, there's a lot of sharing, but it's very shallow, it's superficial. I remember even before you launched the show After Dark, a few days after the accident, you're in hospital, there's a clip of you learning to walk again. Your mother's there with you. Like, you are very good, and I keep insisting on bringing this up because I want other women, even just people, to see that look, in moments of tragedy you can be a vessel, feed off other people's strength whilst healing at the same time. Because even just, I remember the video, you in like a gown, you're learning to walk again, you're going through that, pins in your body, surgery, you come out of that to find that your husband's passed, you have to deal with going to a different country to bury him. But you're doing all that in the midst of COVID. People are feeding off the idea, and it's genuine. It's not, let's just get content of this, let's not get numbers of this, which is no surprise, and I encourage everyone who's watching this, go to YouTube, After Dark with Kayise, season 1. Season 2 is dropping Monday the 19th. Hey. Exactly. So, but this weekend before, I want you to subscribe that show. Grab your popcorn, grab your wines. It's a tearjerker, but I want you to watch episode 1 because, like Kayise is saying, she didn't get millions of views because it was just a well thought out show. It was great timing, and she opened up in a way we rarely see within the media space. I totally understand, and most of us do as members of the public, why media personalities guard their personal life. They ask for privacy in times of need. But you were like, no, the same energy I've always had as Kayise, the same way I've gone with our perfect wedding. I was the same person. People welcomed me into their homes.
Yeah.
So let me let me welcome them into my story.
Nice, yeah.
Great show, and I love the fact that, through the ups and downs, you managed to create not even a moment, you managed to create another avenue for yourself. That gave birth to KNN Media in the midst of COVID. In the midst of struggle, light shines. And I love that kind of thing, just to encourage people that whilst we are going through challenges as people, that's where the gems are. Diamonds are made through pressure. A lot of these cliches do really seem like cliches until you walk it, until you live it. Another quotation I love by Laura Adams says, "Behind every great woman is another great woman."
Absolutely.
I've met your mom. I recently saw a clip promoting your show, and she says Kayise has a big personality. I just want you to speak to the influence of your mom. And what I love about your mom is you and your mom have got very contrasting personalities, but I can see why she's a pillar and cornerstone in your life. So just speak to her.
About my mommy. Oh, mommy. Oh, my mom is my queen, what a resilient woman, my mom has really been a pillar, for me, my siblings, our family, and I've seen her go through so much, and she's just standing.
Yeah,
and
Stella.
Oh man, I actually get very emotional thinking about my mom because she's taught me the power of self-worth, not self-worth superficially on the basis of, oh, I drive a beautiful VW car, or, I have the best job title, or I have put on the best makeup. That self-worth that says you can take everything away from me and I'll still be me. I'll still demand respect. I'll still demand space to have a voice. I'll still be worthy of what I know up here. She's a very smart woman, and she knows it. She was telling me even yesterday that she's there with my grandmother in the Eastern Cape because she's getting a little sickly now. She's 80. So
needs care, obviously.
Yeah, so she was telling me that she's literally surprising my grandmother now. My mom is almost 60 and the other one is 80. So they both in their, elderly age. But now the other one is more fresh than the other one, and the one is just like, where do you know all these things from? And I love that because it means just because she's sitting in the Eastern Cape, she's not allowing herself to wallow into, complacency or just forget about what she's learned, the places she's been, the things she's seen. She's always willing to share knowledge, empower the next person, and I love her so dearly for that.
Yeah, I think the way I'll describe your mom is stoic, because her persona totally different to you,
very reserved,
but very present, and in that reservation does not take away her strong personality. And I like the duality between mother and daughter, that look, one has a way of achieving the same way, very outward, very outgoing, very braggadocious, then the other one is more in the background. What's great about your mom is, I wanted to highlight to people that even if you're an introvert, you can make your mark wherever you are in life. There are people in families who, loud, there'll be fights, but when it's time to listen, let's listen to Mam Ruti,
That's my mom.
Exactly. She may not say much.
She brings sense.
She brings sense to the conversation. She brings calmness.
And calmness. Then this guy who was like,
exactly. Let be outward. But it's great because mothers are so necessary, Mother's Day is not enough just to celebrate them. Neither is Women's Month, but unsung heroes, who do so much. The decision to go back and take care of her own mother, the person who she went to a journey with, who raised her. Because one thing about, within even the black community, to bring it more to our culture, is there's second guessing in the struggles we've gone through. If you look at slavery, apartheid, colonialism, we were brought up in conditions that at your core can make you second guess. Absolutely. Are you good enough?
Yes.
You can come out of transition, independence, but the years of having been in those conditions, it doesn't go away.
And
There's
it
a lot
takes
of
long to translate.
and sometimes it's generational translation, which then this is where mothers come through. And one thing I love in South Africa that I see is a very common story. There are so many women who, when they do well for themselves, first person they give credit is their mother. Countless stories on LinkedIn on the first thing I want to do is I built a house for my mother. Slow Eastern Cape, KZN, because my mother was a helper.
Yeah.
I always hear my mother was a helper. But imagine being a black woman, sometimes a lot of them are single mothers during apartheid, limited movement, but that did not stop them from dreaming big for their seed.
Seeds.
And it's always beautiful that those seeds don't become selfish and, oh, I've made it.
Yeah.
Go back and give to those mothers, because there's always the question of, another quote I love, Michelle Obama asked a simple question in her book is, am I good enough? And she answered that question, yes, I am. You see, and it's so beautiful, it's so powerful, because it speaks to resilience. Because black people as a culture, as a community, as a people, I absolutely love how we make magic from like the lowliest of the lowly. Like African American slaves made great cuisine and tradition by being given the offals that the masters didn't want. You come and perform, but you have to use the back entrance, but still your best foot forward.
Absolutely.
Even in South Africa, where you're told where to work, what kind of jobs you do, that's fine. But we will never forget Sophia Town swag, because those men and women knew how to carry themselves
In the pain.
in the through the pain, through the pain, exactly. And it's pushing through that pain that makes Women's Month something worth celebrating, because womanhood, being a mother, something I want to touch on. You're a mother to a son. Your womanhood journey is not a typical one. You've got a son, great kid, love him, but obviously son's autistic. How does that mold you once again as a mother? Because it's another thing that you can't.
It's another recalibration altogether. Because I think we take life for granted sometimes when we just meet people who sort of resemble what we think is normal.
Yes.
What I mean by that is the fact that when you can ask me, hi, Kayise, how are you? And I can respond by saying, I'm well, thank you, how are you? But when you ask my son, he won't be able to respond, But you'll be able to see he's fine,
Yes.
So when I say we take things for granted, is that I think my son has come to this world to remind me that we all have a place here. We are all worthy, in our wiring and shaped in the way that God wants us to be. And a voice is not so much the sound of what you can hear.
That's beautiful.
Is presence, it's being, it's spirit. Zuko is very present. Trust me, if you were to be here, he'd be jumping up and down all these cars and, you'd know he's here.
Yeah.
So, does the fact that he's nonverbal make him non-existent? No, but it certainly makes him different and not easily understood. And the way that he sees the world is in so much more of, I think, a sort of magnified glass. We can take a magnifying glass and you will see clearly things for what they are. Zuko already naturally sees the world that way. His mind is stimulated in such a way that nothing is not felt. Whether it's the lights, it's the sound, and everything is a lot,
Yeah.
And I can imagine that it's a gift and a curse, because it means that he can't modulate some of the things that he doesn't want to feel or hear or whatever, the way you and I mean, there's people, sort of looking at cars here right now and we're having a conversation, but we're able to put that at the back of our minds. For him, he can't. And I don't think that's a weakness. It's being human,
Exactly, because
it's being human to know what your boundaries and abilities and limits are. So how has it changed me? It's made me more patient, more tolerant, more, sort of seeing, or my foresight to be able to understand people now is totally different. And I couldn't be more proud to know that I'm raising a superhuman.
He is, I think, because he's so full of life. And because to have a child who's got autism, you summed it up beautifully. It is a beauty in its own. He's God's creation. You know, he has his limitations, but so do we all. That's another thing sometimes we forget.
And mine is to know his without even him telling me.
Yes.
So can you imagine? I'm an exhausted mom.
Exactly, because most mothers who can even articulate and have kids who understand, they're also exhausted. Now, for you, it's doubly that having to deal with that, you know. But I mean, on a bit of a personal note, I absolutely love the fact that Zuko's middle name is the same as my middle name.
Yes.
And you spoke to him, you know, that he's a gift from God because his middle name is Tinashe, which means God is with us.
Yes.
And your story is beautiful that in motherhood, in business, KNN Media, you mentioned that from going to that audition, it was a spiritual thing. God told you that this is there for you, and you didn't shy away from it. The Bible's littered with many examples of people who eventually got where they wanted to go. I mean, Moses had a stammer.
Yeah.
He tried everything he could to, like, God, I can't. And like, he's like,
and
listen.
He still ended up there.
He's like, God, like, listen, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
go forth and set my people free. Because that's the beauty of being people and being flawed beings as all of us, you know. But it's support structures.
Absolutely.
You know, it's being the mother who's a stalwart and knowing that, look, this is what he needs. These are the facilities. And even, you know, when I'm exhausted as a mom sometimes, you know, this little person like me had, you know, their own challenges. He's growing. We're understanding each other. But I know that he's going to grow up to be a great young man, you know, who's going to achieve so much. What I want to pivot to now is KNN Media, because, I mean, when I was researching you, I was like, wow, how do I even encapsulate this? Actor, voiceover artist, mother, entrepreneur, CEO of KNN Media. What I just want you to share with the people is the plans of KNN Media, who you guys are, what you do, and just being a CEO, a boss lady in the media space. Am
I really?
Yes, because no, trust me. And you've had the. I want you to receive that because you've had the great mentors, you know, you've had the right mentors, and I like the fact that you are walking into your own with your media company. So what are the plans for KNN Media upcoming and future?
KNN Media, and the reason I named it KNN Media, okay, so I need to give you a little bit of a backstory. So my mom is actually a qualified teacher, you know. She studied education and went on to teach for a few years, and then she didn't like it anymore, and then she took her pensions and she started a business called CWUK Communications, which was a PR, communications, catering, events kind of thing, you know, very similar, you know, to what KNN Media would be now.
The apple does not fall far from the tree.
It never does. It never does. And so a few years ago, I registered this business called CWUK Communications because I was like adamant to her. Actually, it was during the time of OPW because we ran serious campaigns, you know, as much as there was talent on my side and there was, you know, obviously, you know, people's vouching for me and seeing what I was putting out there by myself. There was a lot of strategy involved in how I put myself out there so that people could understand that I was serious about this. I was taking myself. I mean, we were out on like every corner of Johannesburg, whether it was the garages, the supermarkets, the schools, the gyms, the offices and corporate. We were asking people to vote. And I was on radio stations promoting myself. So, KNN, you didn't know this. I got you.
I just find something I didn't know. And I love that, putting yourself out there.
Yeah, no, we definitely were intentional. And I must also mention that a great person, he makes me so emotional when I think about it. My uncle, Kayise Ngqula, who's one of the legends of the media industry in South Africa.
Definitely.
Has mentored what you guys see today. He did not only mentor the talent, but he mentored the business of understanding what entertainment is all about. He's always been very internationally sort of, you know, inclined in his thinking. I mean, in his career, he's sort of like, I think, interviewed the greats at his time at 5FM, Snoop Dogg, Jay-Z. Like, there was a time where he had these people's numbers on his phone. And I remember thinking, who are you? And you're like, just my dad's brother, you know? And I remember watching him on SABC1 as a presenter, and I thought, this is what I want to do. And I used to write him letters every week that, dude, you need to get me onto your TV. When is this happening, you know? And if he were to be here, he would really laugh because it was where the journey started. But fast forward to my mom's company, I then, realized that it was time to build my own legacy. As much as I was trying to reenact or emulate what my mom had been doing, this had actually always been my dream. I always wanted to be a media mogul, and I had all the platforms to do that. I was already out there. I had created a credible name for myself, and so I thought, let's rename this company to KNN Media. And I kept a few things like our color schemes and things like that, where you can see that it's a feminine company. It's a female-owned media company, in now the pinks and the reds, but they're powerful colors to say that we're women who understand what we're doing. We're here to tell stories, women-centric vision, sort of visionary stories, compelling stories, and we're here to be a catalyst of change, for storytelling. So KNN Media, if I were to just sum it up, is a multimedia production company. So inside of it, you would have the film and TV production space or division, which we're trying to get into hopefully soon. We're definitely in the online production space with After Dark with Kayise. We're in the music production space.
Yes, I saw the new studio.
Yeah.
Putting family into the business, also absolutely love it.
Yeah, we're going into music, and music is actually my first love. I
Okay.
sing. People just don't know it yet. I don't know. Maybe I might surprise you guys.
We've
with
seen some of your gym clips where it looks like something from like the dance movies from back in the
Music is my first love. I actually thought that's what I was going to do first, but TV came, and I think it's the same thing, to be able to have the opportunity to showcase talent. And then obviously with that we'll have events, and maybe publish a book or two, or I don't know, writers, authors come talk to us. But like, we're really creating a multi-hyphenate production company, and yeah, that's what we're trying to do. And hopefully the next few years are going to allow us to be able to create some major changes, and contribute in a very positive way to the industry.
That is something I'm looking forward to. I think everyone who watches the show knows Uncle Kash is obsessed with journeys, stories, comeback, and yours is just a beautiful one to see. So no, we are wishing KNN Media the best. I mean,
you.
everything you've just summed up about your company is something that I saw in the logo the first time you shared some material.
Yes.
It's all eclipsing, it's holistic. The colors speak to how the feminine side of it, but your team is both male and female,
Yes.
young people, creatives,
Absolutely.
people who can bring different and fresh ideas, So we really do wish you well in that space, because
Thank
we
you.
need more women in that space. We need more powerful voices. Because one thing I do, and not just pandering because it's Women's Month, the powerful woman is being that voice sometimes of sanity.
Yeah.
We know men, ego-driven. We want to
Yeah.
take over the world,
Yeah.
wars, everything, conquering with sports. But there's just that, and it's not a weakness. That is a misnomer. It's a misconception that the fallible, soft woman be in the room. Like, no, we want women who are in corporate, because in the recruitment space, I've been fortunate to meet a lot of black women who are leading, who are inspiring, who are in board positions, C-suite, and they're not apologetic to be there. They've earned the right to be there. And not only have they earned the right to be there, they're mentoring and opening doors for other women. So
Absolutely.
I think I want to close off by a quotation, which I'm going to read because I wanted to make sure I get it absolutely right and pay respect to the person.
Yeah.
So it's an excerpt from Basi, My Journey of Hope, which is obviously by Basasana Kumalo. And she says, not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great, because greatness is determined by service. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. I
And
couldn't
that's
think of
lovely.
that is a beautiful place to end. It was a beautiful quotation of just summing up women in the media space, women who've made their mark.
Don't you want to stop them from doing that?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's something
that's
that we'll have to extra work to edit out, but I wanted
Let's
us
pick it up.
Yeah, let's pick it up. And exactly, it's a great place to end, because I love Basana in the fact that she's got a storied career, she's made a mark for herself, and she's intentionally makes 100% South African created content.
Yes.
Content that resonates, that's
Yes.
great, that's perfect for us. We're not taking stuff from abroad and making our own version,
Yeah.
but service, grace, love.
love.
And that quotation is a foundation of, if you serve people in your endeavors, in your career, it comes back full circle. You extend your light, you make your legacy, you make your mark as a mother, as a media personality, as a woman. And, it's a beautiful thing in terms of womanhood and every aspect of it. So I just thought, that'll be the closing quotation. But Kayise, on behalf of my show, Conversations with Uncle Kash, our group, the No Hidden Agenda Media Group, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation during Women's Month. Stunning as always. From the you inspire me to I think I'm at my inception. I was joking off camera, like this is my 2017 moment, my OPW.
Yeah, where you get ready for the big time.
For the big time, exactly. But we're following in the shadow of giants as yourself.
Thank you so much.
We'll be keenly following. So like I said, season 2 of After Dark with Kayise premieres YouTube and every platform. It's coming out on Monday. I've been
6 p.m.
6 p.m. I'm gonna
set your reminders, set the notifications,
like, subscribe,
all of it.
Share with your family.
Please do it.
Exactly. Run those numbers up. Share with your friends, your family. Because these are platforms that are building and are gonna grow. To be stories that be like, can you believe this is where she started? And it's like, yes, I started there. This is where I am. I am now that media mogul.
And I just want to say, there's a huge difference between season 1 and 2. If the clip is anything to go by,
most definitely,
the promotional clip. And thank you, Cash. I just want to close up by saying to people, don't be afraid to start. I know it's sort of become cliche now. I think more importantly, don't be afraid to start over. We didn't talk about it, but I left Johannesburg, even after all the fame, after even releasing After Dark, and that it did so well, but I still felt that I wasn't okay, and I wanted to go holistically approach my healing in my place of birth. And now I've come back better, bigger, stronger. So don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to fail, like you said. Don't be afraid to humanize your life experience, because you were not created here to be a static thing. You are here to feel, experience, journey,
evolve.
Yes. So thank you so much for having me, and I hope your viewers are going to enjoy this conversation. We've always had amazing conversations, but today is special.
Most definitely. Today speaks to timing, many years of convos, and I was a bit nervous, but I just said to myself, I've had so many great conversations with Kayise that could have been content, so that helped me relax. Kayise, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone at home for watching this show, sharing it amongst your friends. This has been episode 3 of Conversations with Uncle Kash, also known as the Joburg Bachelor. I know my production friends and team hoping that Joburg Bachelor tag is going to change at some point in the future.
We're praying.
Yes, so is my family. But trust me, I am putting in work, all in God's timing. That's the beauty of life and this journey. Thank you to these great visuals that you're going to see by my co-producing the show, Tsepo. If you want to know more about that man, he's very reclusive, but go on to Instagram and check out who is Tsepo. Thank you to my day one brother in arms, Vinyl_T on sound, #1 Casper Newvest fan.
Yeah. By the way, Casper, your song, my brother. That's my song. I walked in here, drove in here, bumping it, and he was really happy about that. We love it. It's amazing, and I think I want him on my show.
Yes, actually, that's the energy we're putting out there. Thank you so much for watching this show. This show is available on YouTube, every DSP where you consume your content. As always, love, light, and be good to yourself and stay blessed in this Women's Month. Thank you. Peace. Convos with Uncle Kash is a production of the No Hidden Agenda Media Group, produced in partnership with Hatfield VW Melrose Arch. The show's executive producers are The Joburg Bachelor and Who is Tsepo. Sound engineering by Vinyl_T. Mixing and mastering by Tubby the Don. Animation by Farisai Kavai. All visuals are shot, edited, and produced by Who is Tsepo. Supporting cast members Miza and Nick Swagger. Thank you for watching. Be sure to catch us on the next episode of Convos with Uncle Kash.